understand a little bit more about what's normal when we are experiencing adversity, but also to normalize it for themselves, to go, yeah, actually, I was responding that way because I'm a human being, and this is how humans are designed to respond. And when we open up those conversations, when we give people a little knowledge, but open up those conversations amongst groups and practitioners, it really transforms people's experience. So trauma is, there's so many different definitions, but the one I like to use is that trauma is something that deeply impacts us and that often moves beyond our existing sort of self-care and support structures and creates that longer impact for us. But trauma is often an event, an experience, a series of events or experiences that start to push past that. So often we start to notice this real disruption in the way that we're experiencing our life in one or more of those categories when something moves into that space of trauma. You know, one of the things that really helped me, Mike, when I started looking into this more, into this kind of area of trauma-informed practice, was even something as simple as when we experience trauma, or we can also call it toxic stress, one of the very natural responses to that is to get paranoid. And we see this so much in conflict-affected communities and areas, not least Northern Ireland, where, you know, we see it with groups, we see it with individuals, where people become quite suspicious of each other. They need physical and psychological safety, they need acknowledgement, and they need information. So when we ask people to talk about very distressing circumstances and ones that might bring up previous distressing circumstances, it's quite normal, actually, for people to have pretty strong responses in the body. But even shorter term responses where people in the moment, you know, find their hearts are starting to race and their shoulders are getting tight and their backs up, as we say here in Northern Ireland, you know, and you can see that happening. As a mediator, we haven't always had the information or the background to know, okay, maybe what's happening in this space right now is a trauma or a strong stress response. How do we respond in the moment? And ultimately, you know, my belief as a mediator and a peace builder is that not only will people be safer in those processes if we can know how to address them when these issues arise, but also we may end up seeing a real difference in, I hate to use the word success, but if we can pause before we get to that point when we see someone becoming distressed and do something to help them feel better in that moment, to feel more in control, to come back to themselves, they're feeling safer. We're getting to proceed with the mediation if they feel comfortable with that, and we're not getting that kind of large-scale interruption.